Welcome back to face hacking the science of attraction. This is going to be a pretty radical video. So sit tight and hold on to your seats. This is a real bomb dropper. Right, so in this video we're going to be explaining how women choose male partners based on facial dimensions, or how the female mind works. By the way, you need to watch my first two videos for this video to make sense. So if you haven't, please watch them first and then click there. By the end of this video, you're going to have a completely different perspective and understanding of how women work in attraction. Okay, so forget confidence, forget charisma, forget humor, forget personality, forget physique. In this video, I'm going to show you that women actually choose male partners exclusively by facial dimensions. And therefore, how successful you are with women, or unsuccessful, is entirely down to your facial dimensions. More precisely, these maxillary dimensions, which we laid out in the previous video. I'm sorry, I find this slightly amusing. But anyway, like I said, female behavior in choosing male partners can actually be encapsulated in one sentence. This is what I call the maxillary law of attraction. For a woman to view you as a potential partner or consider you attractive, your maxillary projection or forward growth has to be greater or equal to hers, or your maxillary height must be lesser than hers. So if these two conditions are not met, this woman will never be attracted to you. So what I'm saying is, you have to have a projected and compact maxilla for a woman to be, like, really attractive woman to be attracted to you. Right, but how does that show how women choose male partners? We're going to ask Bob, Robert and John. So these guys, they all have different maxillary dimensions. As you can see, well, unfortunately he always had trouble with girls and he got rejected in high school, but he didn't quite know why. Well, Robert and John actually didn't. So using the maxillary law of attraction, we are going to illustrate why Bob was rejected in high school. So we have the side face of Bob and the side face of this woman, with their respective maxillary projections lengths shown by the white arrow. Just look with your bloody eyes. The maxillary projection value of this woman is twice as long as the maxilla projection value of Bob. You can see that the woman's line is longer, that is projection. This means that no matter how hard this man tries or how well he takes care of his appearance, or how rich he is, Bob will kind of get rejected by this woman because she doesn't feel anything, as his maxilla is less projected than the woman. No offense to any Bobs, of course. I do apologize. Sorry, Bob. Right, let's say hello to Robert. Robert has a more projected maxilla than the woman, and therefore the woman will always view Robert as a potential partner and be attracted to him if Robert approaches, where Bob got rejected because his maxilla wasn't forward enough. Now, let's look at John. Hello, John. Looking good. John's maxilla is not as forward as this woman, but his maxillary height is less. What this means is that his maxilla is actually more compact. If you look at this line indicating the height of the nose, that's compactness. So you can see the first condition, MP greater than FP, is not met, but the second, MH is lesser than FH, is met in this circumstance. And of course, because of this, this woman will view John as a potential partner because his maxilla is more compact. To the girl, Bob is the least attractive of the three because his maxilla is the most recessed. As they go through life, Bob will always have trouble with girls, but of course you'll not know why. Are women aware that they choose partners according to this instinct? No. If you ask women, they will always understate the importance of facial attractiveness in choosing male partners. But in reality, this law actually shows that facial attractiveness is more important to women than men. A study, you can read the title yourself, it's pretty damn long, and it's done by 4 women, so please don't SJW me. Published in that journal over there, you can see the top left, reported that both daughters and their parents report valuing characteristics other than physical attractiveness more strongly. So in other words, they said they didn't care about looks, they cared about, you've got to be a nice guy, you've got to be ambitious and all that. But in reality, guess what the study found? In summary, a minimum level of physical attractiveness seems to be essential to a woman and a mate for themselves and to their mothers. So, how do you judge height and projection? You just need to look at my previous video which explains it. So if you haven't, take a look at that. Right, so this to me actually led me to believe that the economy of attraction could be accounted for. So if women subconsciously chose male partners by facial dimensions, now we can explain why some men were able to attract so many women effortlessly, while some men had so much difficulty. For example, nice guys, incels, so on and so forth. You just needed to draw a distribution of maxillary dimensions. And therefore, by this hypothesis, men who have the most projected and compact maxillas would have the greatest success with women, and men who have the least forward grown, these very flat maxillas, very long, would have very limited success with women. And this actually is the case if you actually go out and you profile their maxillas. You profile men's maxillas. If you do a study, you would find that the men with the highest projection and the lowest compact, sort of the lowest height values, actually have the most success with women in terms of how many partners they had, in terms of the ease of finding a relationship, because women would automatically be attracted to them in normal interactions, whereas these guys with really recessed and long maxillas would have less success. Obviously, this isn't an absolute thing, but it is a general trend, and it's an economy, so it's relative. So if your maxilla is relatively poorer than 99% of the male population, then you become an incel. And if your maxilla is better than 99% of the male population, well, unfortunately you become a Chad. So this puts an end to the Chad meme I've been seeing around on the internet lately. Chadhood is basically a result of having that maxillary projection, that high maxillary projection value. Right, so now having explained how the law works, let's take a further look at how maxillary height or compactness can impact female mate choice. We're going to examine 3 case studies of 3 men with both compact and projected maxillas. So by the law, they should be really successful with women due to them having, well, more compact maxillas than majority of the female population. And that's basically the second condition which I talked about earlier. MH is lesser than FH. So the first guy, Leonardo DiCaprio, a renowned Hollywood womanizer, he's known for his single life and his ability to have an endless string of, 10 over 10 women at his fingertips. And the next guy, Jack Nicholson, another actor, also renowned for his womanizing past. Nicholson was quite the player in his youth, and similar to DiCaprio, he enjoyed a very high level of popularity among women. And the last guy, R.S.D. Tyler, or Owen Cook. Now this guy's a pickup artist, and he's actually made a very successful career out of picking up women, and women clearly seem to love him. He's known for his ability to pick up women off the streets, with more success than probably any man out there. So, apart from maxillary projection, which we mentioned earlier, what is it about these men that make them so irresistible to women? Now, it's actually their maxilla. So if you take a look at their maxilla, they actually have incredibly compact maxillas. Look at how short their nose height is. You can see by the red arrow. That is an indicator of a compact maxilla. So what I'm saying is that having a really compact maxilla by the law means that by probability you would be having a more compact maxilla than most of the female population, and therefore they would be successful with women. So make no mistake, it's not their charisma that got them the girls, it's their maxilla. Once is coincidence, twice is not, and thrice more or less confirms the effect of the law. Now take note, I'm not bashing R.S.D. Tyler, I think he's a great self-help coach, but in this case he's a beneficiary of a higher power that he's not aware of. So is Jack Nicholson, and so is Leonardo DiCaprio. So this occurrence of a man having a more projected maxilla than almost all women, thus enabling them to be a sort of womanizer, I'm going to call it the Nicholson effect. Because there were 3 men to display this effect. Jack Nicholson actually was the first. And you can see these 3 men, they're all extremely successful with women, and they all have compact maxillas. Therefore, this actually inspired me to add the second condition to my law, whereby I noticed that projection wasn't just enough. The really popular guys out there, they have both compact and projector maxillas. Of course, these three men being the prime examples. Okay, so to condense everything we've learned about female mate choice in this video, I'm going to distill it all down to a practical, easy to use method that you can apply in your life to save you unnecessary distress. So using my method, you can predict with almost certain accuracy if a woman will be interested in you if you approach or not, or if she's going to reject you. So what you do is you just need to look at a side profile and you profile her maxillary height and projection. You compare it to your own. From this, once you have your data, if your maxilla is more projected, good to go. You have a good chance. If her maxilla is more projected, and by a significant amount, then she's not going to be interested in you. And this is no matter what you actually do. Doesn't matter how hard you try, or how valiant or concerted your effort, she won't be interested in you. Now, it's not her fault. She's not aware of it either, but she's operating on a biological instinct that is embedded into her brain. So if a woman has a better maxilla than you, i.e. it's more projected, then you know that any attempt will probably result in rejection and you shouldn't pursue her because she won't be interested no matter what you do. Chasing her is pointless. As demystifying and as sobering this is towards attraction and romance, this is unfortunately the truth and the most practical way to go about it. So of course, using this law, if you have a maxilla that is less projected than most of the female population, then unfortunately, by this principle, you have no chance and you're basically doomed. So the only solution is to get a better maxilla, more projected and more compact. Of course, as to how we're going to do that, we're going to discuss that at the end of the video. So just keep watching. Right, so with the maxillary dimensions and the law that I mentioned earlier, we can actually explain everything in terms of intergender interactions. So we'll first take a look at basic behavior. What I mean by basic behavior is that they are standard behaviors that occur in attraction, and they actually can be explained by the maxillary law. Right, so the friend zone. What happens is that in the friend zone, you have a guy with a less projected or longer maxilla than her. In other words, it doesn't satisfy the law. You approach her, and you get friend zoned simply because your maxilla isn't good enough. So if you've been friend zoned before, it's because of your maxilla. Second, rejection. Again, in the same vein, if you have a less projected or longer maxilla than her, you approach her, she will reject you. And why? Because your maxilla didn't meet the condition of the law. So if you've been rejected before, again, it's probably because of your maxilla. Not because of you're too nice, no, because of your maxilla. Third, relationships. Now yes, whenever you see a relationship happen, it is actually because the man's maxilla has met the criteria of the law. In other words, it's equally projected or it's more compact. So if you've been in a relationship before, it's probably because, well, your maxilla did meet the criteria. And if you don't believe me, you can go and check on your partner straight away, profile the maxilla. I'll tell you the law will hold constant. Fourth, cheating. This one's controversial. When a woman cheats on a partner, it may have been because she's actually found a man with a more projected or compact maxilla than her current partner, and she feels that she doesn't feel the attraction anymore to her current partner because she can't stop thinking about the maxilla of the new guy who's so much better. It's biological. Like I said, it's not their fault. It's subconscious and it's biological. Of course, we'll cover this in later videos, talking about the evolutionary the evolutionary purpose and the evolutionary background of why this instinct even exists. And fifth, harassment. Harassment occurs when a man has a much more poorer maxilla than a woman. In other words, it didn't meet the law, but she continued to pursue her. So if you've been accused of harassment before, it's because first of all, your maxilla wasn't good enough, it wasn't as projected, and you continued to be an idiot. So I'm not excusing male behavior here, I'm just saying, if you have a woman with a better maxilla than yours, i.e. much more projected, don't pursue her, because if you keep doing it and you're an idiot, you'll be accused of harassment. So that clears things up, I hope. Right, psychological phenomena. Now these are just some quick little misconceptions that arise as a result of the law. Now they arise because men assume women judge partner value rationally like they do, but in reality, how it works is the law has to be fulfilled first. So it does give rise to some of these little quirks. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the dark triad effect. Now, the misconception that women are attracted to dark triad traits, psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellianism stems from men observing criminals like Jeremy Meeks or psychopaths like Charles Manson have very large female followings. Now, in reality, these women are attracted to these men not Well, because they have a forward and well-developed maxilla, and not for their dark triad tendencies. You can take a dark triad male with a poor recessed maxilla, and he's still not going to get any woman because his maxilla is poor. The second thing, the Chad or alpha male effect. Now, this is a misconception that is very popular in mainstream, well, not mainstream, but in popular culture, and it is that the misconception that women are attracted to dominant alpha males. Now, this stems from men with alpha personalities who concurrently have projected maxillas at the same time. So women are attracted to these men, again, because of the law. They have a projected and forward-grown maxilla. But because men aren't aware of this, they draw the wrong correlation. So attraction actually stems from maxilla, not dominance. Now, a man with a recessed maxilla stands no chance regardless of how alpha he is. So let's just clear that up, shall we? Okay, the third thing, the she's out of his league effect. Now, I call this effect stems from the common observation whereby you actually see a male or a man with a significantly more attractive partner, and then you conclude, oh, but women don't care about looks because clearly he's dating this really average-looking guy. Now, the reality is that it's a matter of perception. The guy actually has a maxilla that has met the law in terms of projection. But men don't judge based on maxilla as much as women. So men won't think he's as attractive, but the reality is his maxilla is still better than yours. That's why she got together with him and not you. This is quite common nowadays. And of course, the fourth, we have the dad bod effect. Now, this effect, I actually thought of this when I was reading articles, and I saw that men seem to think that women were attracted to a dad bod. Now, this is absolute rubbish. If you look at pictures online of men with dad bod, well, like for example Leonardo DiCaprio at the beach or Jack Nicholson, the reality is these men all have extremely well developed maxillas, and it just stands to show that women are not attracted to physique as much as they are to maxilla. You can have a really fantastic physique, but with a recessed and poor maxilla, you're still not going to attract any woman compared to a man with a dad bod but a really projected and compact maxilla. So let's just clear that up. Right, and of course, the crown jewel, the main thing, the nice guys finish last effect, or the misconception that women actually like bad boys. Now, this actually stems not because women don't actually like nice guys. No, women prefer men with good personalities. But the men have to fulfill the maxillary law of attraction. In other words, these nice guys, they are rejected by women not because of being nice, not because of being desperate, but because they have a poor, recessed and long maxilla. So according to the law, no matter how nice you are, if the condition is not fulfilled, you're still going to get rejected. And the bad boys, the idea that women like jerks, no, that's absolute rubbish. What's actually happening is that these jerks happen to have a projected and compact maxilla, and therefore women are attracted to them regardless of their personality. So this kind of proves that with a poor maxilla, with a good maxilla but a poor personality, you can still get away with things. And you just need to look at the example of Jeremy Meeks. Very, very, very good example. So let's just clear that out. Women don't reject nice guys because they're nice. They reject nice guys because these men happen to have poor maxillas, and they date jerks because the jerks happen to have better maxillas than the nice guys. So the solution, of course, is to get a better maxilla, but we'll come to that later. Okay, social constructs. The first one, insoles. Now, insoles are simply a result of having a very recessed and long maxilla. Now, if your maxilla is more recessed than 99% of the population, unfortunately, by probability, 99% of women are going to reject you, because your maxilla is simply not projected than theirs. You have to find a woman with a equally poor maxilla, and because of probability, it's very hard. Now, if you go online and you look at the pictures, you will find most of them actually have very long and recessed maxillas. Now, this is not a coincidence. It is precisely because they lack this forward growth and they have long maxillas that is the cause of them being rejected by women, not because... And because of continuous rejection, this leads to unfortunately, long periods of rejection and isolation will lead to a toxic personality. So, again, the problem stems from the maxilla. So, if these guys could get a better maxilla, they could be cured. technically. Of course, we'll go over the solutions in future videos. Now, the second thing, nice guys, or rather the nice guys subreddit, which I've seen quite a few times. Now, this is a social construct of men with poor maxilla who keep chasing women with better maxillas. Now, it is because they don't understand the law. Now, I don't blame them, because before this video, no one had any idea how this all works. So basically, if you have a much less projected maxilla than hers, and you keep chasing her, you try to be nice, nothing's gonna happen. You're gonna get rejected, and you're basically gonna find yourself on r/nice guys. So again, the solution is you need a better maxilla. Now, let's talk about the red pill movement. The red pill movement is a social construct based on the idea that women prefer dominant, aggressive, alpha men, and that they can actually, by, well, increasing maybe your personal wealth, your fitness levels, your status, your charisma, your frame, and you can eventually become alpha and dominant and attract women. Unfortunately, in this case, my law still holds. If you wish to attract a woman, and the law, no matter how alpha or dominant you are, and your maxilla has to qualify first. In other words, your maxilla must be equally or more projected than hers. If you have a very poor maxilla, it doesn't matter how alpha or dominant you are, as I said earlier, nothing's going to happen. So, unfortunately, a lot of their theories are invalidated. Well, unfortunately. Having said that, I can see the value of the self-improvement aspect, especially most of them focus on fitness and lifting. But of course, you shouldn't be lifting for women, you should be lifting for yourself. But let's not get into that. Okay, school shootings, right. Now, obviously, it's not all school shootings are a result of poor maxillas, but in recent times, you have Elliot Rogers and you have Nicholas Cruz. Now, these guys, school shootings are basically a result of having an insufficiently developed maxilla combined with mental instability, because due to their poor maxillas, they would face rejection in, well, high school. And due to this rejection, they grow unstable, they grow frustrated, and combined with the lax gun control laws, they end up shooting up their schools. Now, if we could find a way to improve maxillas in the future, which I technically may have, school shootings would not occur. So please, I hope you can see the importance. Okay, so the point is, all these social constructs all result of the maxilla, all result of women choosing male partners by maxilla, and certain men with poor maxillas being disadvantaged. Now, this, of course, brings up the question that if we could somehow improve maxilla, we could help society. So on to the next part. Right, so now we know that from this video, I hope you've learned that women do choose male partners based on facial dimensions as a prerequisite. They will reject guys with long and recessed maxillas and gravitate towards men with compact and projected maxillas. Because of that, men with long and recessed maxillas do tend to suffer, while men with compact and projected maxillas don't have any problems at all. We now know, according to the law, that this is the case. So, the next question that we need to ask, we have to identify, this is going to be the long run vision of the channel, is to identify the cause of a good forward grown maxilla. And of course, once we do that, we can also look as to why the instinct for women to choose male partners based on their maxillary dimensions exists in the first place. That's evolutionary, has to do with evolution and human history. Once we answer all these questions, we will know what to do to get everyone a good maxilla, so that everyone can benefit. And that is a long sequence of steps that needs to take place in order for us to reach the end goal and solve facial unattractiveness. So in the next video, we're going to cover exactly what the cause is of different maxillary dimensions. Now we're going to dive into the cause of it, so things like orthodontics, orthotropics, extractions, braces, orthodontic treatment, tongue posture, breathing, all these things. We're all going to look at them, and we're all going to stitch together a wonderful picture and explain exactly how we can account for why people have poor maxillas and what we can do to get everyone a good maxilla. Therefore, the quick TLDR or TLDW, if you have a poor maxilla, unfortunately there's nothing you can do to change your fortunes with women. You just have to support me and wait for a solution to having a better maxilla. And if you have a good maxilla and you have none of these issues at all, I suspect some of you watching may probably be, well, just remember that you're a beneficiary of an unconscious female instinct, and just carry on. I'm happy for you. If you have a poor maxilla, of course, just wait and support me, and we'll get to the promised land together, where everyone can have a godly maxilla. and the social benefits can be incurred. Right, okay, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.